Okay, so OpenAI just dropped a bombshell. A brand new model is here, and it's promising to be a really significant leap forward. Today, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about GPT 5.2.
Right out of the gate, OpenAI is making a pretty huge claim. They are calling this their most advanced model ever, and it's built specifically for professional work. So you should think of this less like a general update and more like a specialized, heavy-duty tool that's designed for the workplace. So, what's the big idea here? Well, the entire philosophy behind GPT 5.2 is about unlocking economic value. It's designed from the ground up to really boost productivity and create tangible, measurable results in professional settings. So, what's new under the hood? Well, OpenAI is highlighting major upgrades pretty much across the board. We're talking about things like creating spreadsheets and building presentations, writing much more sophisticated code, and having way better image perception. And a huge focus here is its ability to understand massive documents and handle these really complex, multi-step projects. Now that is a huge deal, because it paves the way for much more autonomous AI agents. Now here's where it gets really interesting. OpenAI is claiming this model can actually outperform human experts. That's a massive statement, right? So the big question is, how does it actually stack up against us?
Exactly. I mean, they say it's better, but how do you even measure that? How good is it really when you put it to the test on actual real-world tasks? Let's just start with a single really powerful number, 70.9%. So, what does that number actually mean? It comes from a benchmark called GDP Vol. And look, this isn't some abstract academic test. It's an evaluation that measures AI performance on actual knowledge work tasks across 44 different professions. We're talking real-world jobs here, from creating sales presentations to analyzing accounting spreadsheets and even interpreting manufacturing diagrams.
And the leap here is just massive. On this benchmark, which measures how often the AI wins or just ties against a human professional, the previous model scored just under 39%. GPT 5.2 thinking jumps all the way up to over 70%. And here's why that really matters. This is the first time OpenAI is claiming that one of its models performs at or even above a human expert level on such a broad set of professional tasks.
Okay, so we've seen the pretty impressive performance, but how did they actually do it? Let's take a look under the hood at the specific technical upgrades that are powering this new model. First up, coding. The model was tested on a really tough benchmark called SWE Bench Pro, which involves real-world software engineering challenges. GPT 5.2 thinking scored 55.6%. Now, that might not seem like a giant leap from the previous version, but you gotta consider this. This test requires the model to fix real bugs in complex code bases. So even a small improvement like this translates to much greater reliability for professional developers. And you know what? Industry leaders are definitely noticing. Jeff Wang, who's the CEO of Windsurf, said the version bump undersells the jump in intelligence, and he called it a SUDA, or state-of-the-art coding model in its price range. That's a pretty strong endorsement if you ask me. Next up is memory, or what's often called the context window. The model now has near 100% accuracy recalling specific information from documents up to 250,000 tokens long. Now, token is roughly 3/4 of a word, so we're talking about being able to process the equivalent of a very long book. This means you can now analyze a massive annual report, a long legal contract, or an entire research project with much greater accuracy. It's a total game changer for deep analysis workflows. The vision capabilities have also seen a huge upgrade. Just take this motherboard example. On the left, you've got the previous model, GPT 5.1. It only labels a few parts and has a pretty weak understanding of the layout. But then look on the right. GPT 5.2 identifies most of the main regions and has a much better grasp of the spatial arrangement. So it's not just seeing pixels anymore, it's actually starting to understand structure. And here's a big one for trust. 30%. OpenAI says this represents a 30% relative reduction in responses that contain errors. This makes the model way more dependable for factual work, though of course they still caution you to double-check anything critical. So the tech is clearly impressive. But what does all of this mean for you, the user? Let's bring it all together and talk about how you can actually use this new technology and what to expect. Inside ChatGPT, you're now going to find 3 new tiers. First, there's Instant, which is kind of the fast workhorse for your everyday tasks. Next up is thinking, which is designed for deeper, more complex work like coding or analyzing documents. And finally, you have pro, which is their smartest and most trustworthy option for those really difficult questions where quality is the absolute top priority. And for a professional-grade tool, responsibility is absolutely key. That's why OpenAI is also really emphasizing safety. This chart shows improved scores for how the model handles sensitive conversations, especially in areas like mental health support and self-harm prevention. It's a clear focus on making these AI interactions safer and more responsible. So when can you get your hands on it? Well, it's rolling out right now for all paid ChatGPT plans. And for you developers out there, the big news is that it's available today through the API.
Now, let's talk about the cost for developers. The price per token has gone up. For example, the main model is now $1.75 for input and $14 for output per million tokens. OpenAI's argument here is that because the model is smarter, it can achieve the same result with fewer back and forths and less code, which means the total cost to get a high-quality result could actually end up being lower. So the idea is you're paying more per token, but you might need fewer tokens overall to get the job done right.
And to really understand the real-world impact of this, just listen to this quote from AJ Orbach, the CEO of Triple Whale. He says, "We collapsed a fragile multi-agent system into a single mega agent." It feels like pure magic. I mean, that perfectly captures how a leap in AI capability can just radically simplify these really complex business workflows. So let's quickly recap the key takeaways. First, we've got a new model that's explicitly built for professional work that, at least according to OpenAI's metrics, now outperforms human experts. Second, it's got major upgrades in coding, vision, and long context reasoning. And finally, it's available right now in new, smarter, and safer tiers for both users and developers.
And all of that leaves us with one final massive question to think about. With AI now performing at an expert level across 44 different professions, what job is it going to master next?